The labor market is kind of up and down and sideways. It's changed a lot over, even the last 5 years from the previous 5, 10, 15 years. So it is a different game. We come at it from like my day job is the CEO of Carpet Cleaner Marketing Masters, and we help market cleaning companies. I've owned them for 30 years. We now help market them, and sometimes we do it too well, and people go, well, John, we're too busy and we can't find people. And then we have to switch gears and go, oh, let's help you find people so you can continue to grow the business.
Welcome to the Carpet Cleaner Success Podcast, a show created to inspire carpet cleaning business owners to build their own thriving residential and commercial cleaning business. Your host, John Clendenning, has built and sold successful cleaning businesses for multiple six figures over his 30-year career and is the founder of Carpet Cleaner Marketing Masters, a digital agency that turns your online marketing into a lead generation machine. Tune in as John shares proven tips, strategies, and expert interviews to help fast-track your success in the carpet cleaning industry.
This time I got my good friend Jeff Cross back on the show. We talked to him maybe about a year ago or so, and the reason why I brought him on is, so Jeff is the media director of ISSA, which includes Clean Facts magazine that I've got boxes and stacks still on my mezzanine here in the office. Cleaning and maintenance magazine or management magazine and stuff like that, and ISSA Today publications as well. Previous owner of a successful cleaning business from years ago, and he's also CRC approved instructor, trainer, and does some consulting with business owners, managers, and frontline technicians. All of that kind of good stuff. So, I mean, deep in the industry, and that's kind of the point. We thought we'd bring Jeff on and have a good little chat about a really important topic about hiring and stuff like that. So, hey, Jeff, thanks for jumping on the podcast again.
My pleasure, John. Good to be here.
Cool. So in that quick little bio, in case somebody doesn't know you, again, is the Carpet Cleaner Success Podcast. And if they don't know who Jeff Cross is, then I don't think they've done their homework well enough. But in case the odd few who listen to this don't know who you are, is anything I missed? Anything that any other nuggets that stand out that we should include in your bio there?
No, not really. I think in the industry, I'm known for mainly the Clean Facts brand,
Yep.
which is fitting for this audience. But I've been in the trenches, John, like you, and I've had good days and bad days in business, and we've learned. So now I run a media team, and we just help the industry as best we can. So hopefully today we can do that. Maybe a nugget will come out of this conversation that works for some. Maybe that'll be our goal today.
Sounds good. Yeah. What we're going to be talking about is just navigating the hiring maze, is kind of the little tagline title I've got on it. Strategies for recruiting the top talent, retaining them, especially in this difficult market. Find people, and then we have to switch gears and go, oh, let's help you find people so you can continue to grow the business if that's your goal. So it really is sort of a changing world in a lot of respects. And so I wanted to kind of break it down into sort of three basic categories. Where to source great candidates that fit into the cleaning industry, especially focusing on carpet cleaning techs or even restoration techs that are in the home with the customer, interacting with the customer. So a lot of customer service, how to attract and hire them, like where to source them, how to attract and hire them, and how to retain them. So I've always said, even in my hiring days, for our cleaning businesses and stuff, that when I talk to the candidate, I let them know it's a customer service job that just happens to have a little bit of cleaning that goes with it. Because if I'm hiring somebody that's great at cleaning, unfortunately, that's not enough in the home. Would you kind of agree with that statement, or from your experience?
I would agree with that. I know there are many companies out there that are very, very good at marketing, and they've said that. They say, what we do is we offer the service to go along with the marketing. So
yeah,
good way of putting it.
Yeah, because I mean, we all know the little games of like, and it's not really games, but you got to train your technicians, and we'll talk about that's part of the retaining part of it as well. But you've got to train them how to be, I guess the Dan Kennedy says it well. It came from Walt Disney, who Dan like the whole Disney empire is something that Dan talks about a lot and kind of loves the way they built out. Is that you're on stage when you're in front of the public, right? We don't always see that when we walk into Starbucks and when we walk into our local stores. Sometimes the employee gets it and really is there for you. Even if they're having a bad day, you don't know. Other time the employees are blatantly obvious that you're an inconvenience to them and that kind of thing, and that they're not really realizing that they are the face of the company at the moment, and they're on stage. There's actually a bit of act in theater. Like carpet cleaners are normally guys, and the person that answers the door is normally a woman of the home, and now you've got imposing figure at your door because you got to be strong enough to do the cleaning and move the furniture. So that whole idea of dressing neatly, taking a step back from the door and handing out, having a business card in your hand and looking professional to create that, that deep sigh of, oh, this is good. This is a nice person going to be in my home, is all part of like teaching an employee their role as well, which can actually be a retention strategy, letting them really realize where they fit in. But what we'll do is we'll jump into the where to source great candidates. We know the obvious: Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, sort of those things. But just in your thoughts, like just knowing the industry and stuff like that, any other places where like you would think in a local community people can source the ideal type of person that would make a great technician?
The first thought that comes to mind, John, is poaching.
Poaching.
Poaching, which I know we talk about that a lot, but
Yeah.
look at other industries or other job positions, and when you find a person who's like that would be a good tech for me.
Yeah.
And if the offer is attractive and it's something that they want to do, that could work. So poaching is one. I was thinking too that when you do your poaching, you have to sell the job a little differently. Your job description can be, do you want to be a carpet cleaner or do you want to dry out houses?
Yeah.
So you need to think about what the ultimate goal is and what the future could be for that new technician. Because I don't know about you, it's a pretty tough sell these days to get young people, which is usually your technician age, somewhat younger, this physical work.
Yeah.
What would attract them to the job? So, you got to think about how you position that.
Yeah, a couple of things that we used back in the day that still seem to work well. I sold the business there 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, to one of our managers actually to take over. And so it still runs in the office back there and around the corner. So, I still fingers in it. Like I hear everything. I get asked questions all the time. And one of the questions that have come up is, "Hey, John, what are those places that woman that used to come in and sit in your office about when we're looking to hire?" And it was like vocational schools and things like that. We always reached out to the community. The YMCA had a program for not just new immigrants, but people also just trying to get a leg up and things like that. So we always kept kind of like in touch with those. And when we had a position coming open, we would reach out there as well. Job fairs, I wouldn't set up a booth, but I'd go and walk around, especially if it was sort of like again, not like some of the job fairs that came up that were around sort of labor and spring and clean and things like that. I think the IRCRC, does it still have it used to have a job board? I think it's still where technicians can, somebody, an IRCRC certified cleaning technician could be moving from one state to the next and wants to stay in his career path, or even those Facebook groups
Yeah.
where there are things like that. So.
I think there's something to be said for looking for technicians that might work for another company or just advertise, like you mentioned, Indeed or online sources, to where you might get some of those qualified technicians from another company who everyone's looking for an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And these young technicians might be doing that. I guess the thing I would think about is what kind of person is it? Not so much that they know how to push a wand back and forth.
Yeah.
But the personality. And that's really where you got to find where you find the good people. The people who can talk to your customers, who represent you well. We all go out to restaurants, we deal with other service businesses, and aren't we often just disappointed? And we kind of expect disappointment when we go or when we are are treated by an employee. It just kind of comes with the territory these days. So if we can do something different, you mentioned uh, vocational schools, those opportunities. The other day, I interviewed a custodial supervisor with a school in Indiana, and they have a student custodial program to where they hire students, they pay them going rate, part-time, and 7 of those students who went through that program stayed on as full-time custodians after graduation.
Yeah.
Cool idea, right?
It is. Yeah. So think anybody listening to this are going, I can't find employees. Have you reached out to anything like that? Like, obviously there's some of the, like from a digital marketing perspective, one of the obvious is make sure you go to your Facebook business page and post a job with, again, with a great description. We'll talk a little bit about what helps make a good description or whatever, but post it on there because Facebook collects all those and puts them out on like even just on Facebook as a job ad, you know, for people looking for jobs, looking for those hashtags and things like that. So, you know, that kind of stuff. One of our clients actually, I thought that was hilarious. So he lives in Texas and has a business in Florida. So he's hiring people and he's not there every single day. Like he trains them up, puts them in a truck, talks to them every morning on Zoom and or Messenger, you know, FaceTime or whatever. And kind of once they're up and running, it's kind of almost scary in my estimation, but he's gotten really good at it because he's hiring gig economy employees. So he's hiring Uber drivers who in the afternoon and the evening can go out drive Uber, but they're available in the morning. They're great with customers and the public because they're doing it all day long. They're getting a great pay, oftentimes better than their Uber gig in the afternoon or evening. They are a bit of a hustle mentality kind of person. Put them on a good performance bonus as well. And if if you've got a light schedule that day, it just means they're going to turn their Uber on earlier, right? So interesting.
Yeah.
Again, we're in a new world. I don't know if you and I, as old dogs, would have thought of that, but it's sort of like, it was to him, it was like, hey, that's an obvious. Like these guys are good that way.
Yeah. The concern I would have, I guess, is what are they doing? Are they going along and working, or are they actually taking the keys to the truck, driving that
people around.
$80,000 truck with a truck mount from
Yeah.
job to job? I don't know. I guess that would be a
Yes.
concern. Just like when I talked about the student thing,
Yep.
you can get young people, but are they qualified to handle the
Yeah.
adult tasks, which, for insurance purposes or just experience when they go out driving your truck around town and,
Yep.
that's a concern, or the box truck or whatever it is.
Yeah. The other one is so employee referral programs. You've already got employees, a
Yep.
referral reward program for sure. Anybody that you end up hiring, they get like what we used to do, $150. I think it was $100 if we hired them, and then if they lasted at 90 days, if we kept them on past the probationary period, it was another 150. So it's $250 they'd get to refer somebody in that lasted all the way through, and that kind of thing. And then what we started doing on our end is we started saying, well, if we're willing to pay our employees that, why wouldn't we be willing to pay like a church or a nonprofit? And then I actually had a business coach for a while, and he said, okay, John, you're on the right path. Have you reached out to baseball and sport associations like a men's rec league that might know somebody who's struggling, just lost a job, things like that? At least have it out there that you will donate that 100, then 150 afterwards. For any candidate they send your way that might be interested. So at the very least, they'll post a flyer on a bulletin board or in an e-newsletter as an attempt to get, again, just a good win-win for both sides if it works out. So I guess the idea from this first part of it is really don't just go, oh, I tried ads on Indeed, they don't work. Like think outside the box a bit. We're in a new world. You're going to have to, sort of attract, find, root out a little bit. So maybe always be hiring is another one that works well if you're growing for sure. But just always kind of have a little bit of a bench, as we like to call it, where there's people that they were interested. Maybe you didn't have a position for them right now, but you tell them you'd like to keep the resume on file for when you do, and you've got so you're not just waiting till all of a sudden somebody quits or you absolutely need somebody and now you're starting the process. You're at least farther along in the process because you're working on your business, as Michael Gerber says, it's not in it, and you're spending time doing that kind of stuff as part of the function of being the owner of a carpet cleaning business. So
The best part of what you all said and all of that, I think, is the referral program, because if you have a good technician, your model technician, he's exactly what you want. His friends are probably going to be somewhat like him.
yeah.
I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Just like you're just like me, John, because we're friends.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, yeah, it's the technician that yeah. And I've had one of these that you have to drive to their house, knock on the door, and wake them up to get them in the truck because you haven't replaced them yet, but you knew they're out at the bar last night. That kind of idea.
Yep.
I just happened to be 2 doors down. So sorry, Chris, if you're listening. But yeah, I used to. It was like, dude, get in the truck. You're late for work, right? Well, all of his friends were also the same kind of guys. It wouldn't be the people you would hire. But yeah,
Exactly.
the clean cut, family oriented person. Yeah, they're hanging around with the right people. So we'll move on into how to attract and hire the best technicians. So we kind of touched on a lot of it, but the more, again, I guess it's more about, like, again, that job description, highlighting the experience. It's not just a job. I'll give you an example, a couple of things we used to do, because we all know the job is somewhat physically demanding. But if you emphasize the fact that you're getting to transform customers' homes, there's a great before and after experience, right? Every single job you're on, you get to be on the road, not stuck in a factory or stuck in a mall or stuck in an office. You're on the road all day long. Some people, that's a huge perk, just kind of driving around. And the people that like customer interaction and chatting to people, then you highlight that aspect of the job as well, that you're meeting new and interesting people and learning their stories and stuff as you're in their home, taking care of their belongings and making things feel better and be healthier and cleaner. Like,
Mhm.
that's the type of things we used to put in our job descriptions, just to change the story a bit.
Yeah. So if you have a lead, a potential employee, that you have your traditional interview questions, right? Where do you want to be in 5 years, and how would you handle this situation? All those stock questions. But how do they really interact with people? To me, and I'm not in the business, but if I were to hire someone like you, John, I'd meet you for lunch somewhere.
Yeah.
Sit there, nice little restaurant, whatever it is, order a burger. Um, and how do you treat the food servers? How do you treat people? Do you have good eye contact?
Yeah.
I think I would vet someone that way, because it's not about, again, the technical expertise, because you can always teach that.
Yeah.
It's about the people and how they treat people and how they talk to people, and can that 20-year-old young person go talk to that 50-year-old college graduate woman with a career who's a VP or a president of some corporation. There's a big disconnect there that you have
Yeah.
to deal with, potential disconnect. So how do they do with that? That would be my vetting process, I think, along with all the traditional, back checking of their past and their work,
Yeah.
and talk about what the potential is in the company. It's not just about cleaning. There's always potential to do more as your company grows.
Yeah. No, and I think that's great and awesome advice, because it is. We've actually got some suggestions coming up about sort of how you can use digital to help the first part of it. That's the tactical side, but the humanics, the part of actually getting to know them, is much better out in the public like that than it is in your office. Like, we even talk about, we used to, every technician had to go through a ride along day. That was, they'd get paid for it, but they had to agree to, if they passed the first and second stage of interviewing, they had to go out in a ride along, and the team member that we had to like them, but like, they had a rating thing to fill out at the end of the day. They had to chat them up. They actually had a few secret questions they kind of had to ask them and sort of feel them out from a employee to employee standpoint, maybe stuff they wouldn't tell the boss, kind of idea. But we kind of did that every single time as well, because it got rid of mistakes before they happened, hiring mistakes before they happened. um, Another one that we like to, kind of became more important in the last 10 years is, before I sold the business, every interview I ever did, uh, that was worthwhile, that the person was worth hiring, whether they chose to take the job when we offered it or not. They had checked out our online reviews themselves already. They had gone and checked us out on social media and checked out our websites and stuff like that. They wanted to know what the company was they were going to be working for. And it kind of just is a testament to the marketing. If you're not getting reviews with technicians' names in them, if you're not marketing your business and showing behind the scene videos of the team, at a charity function, that's good for marketing to get new customers because they want to see the real side of your business too. But if you're attracting employees and you don't have that stuff, that real life stuff in your marketing, if your website, as I keep saying, is babies lying on carpets and families and dogs sitting on a couch, there's nothing about that's going to attract a better employee either. But if it's your team smiling and thumbs up around your van and, and some behind the scenes footage and video and images throughout every page of your website, the feeling that the ideal candidate is going to get when they check you out before they apply is entirely different than if it's all just on sort of just answers on a form.
Yeah, when I interview for positions at ISSA, I've done this a few times, you always ask, what do you know about us?
Yeah.
And if they're like, well, and they don't have much of an answer, that tells you something. So I agree with you, John. But I'll tell you one thing I have not seen a lot of is what you just said, where a company has a page of their employees who you got their picture, you've got their bio, because I think your customers really love to know who's coming to the house. And when they look at a company and they see all that, that makes them feel good. And the potential technician as well.
Yeah.
They see a team, right?
Yep.
That they want to be part of. So I love what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I
Tell
just
the
don't see a
family.
lot of it. I
Yeah.
think people should really pay attention to this.
Yeah, tell the family story. Like you should, like I don't even
Mhm.
say hide it on an about us page. Like at the beginning, like why choose our cleaning company? Well, hi, I'm John, the owner, and here's why I started the company. If there's like the origin story, my daughter got sick with allergies, blah blah blah. I found out it was cleaning or whatever it was. Like I mean, real stories, but that should be on websites. And again, that also impacts this whole employee thing because it's like, wow, I really want to work for somebody who's got a mission or a thought in their head, and it's great for conversions. So if you want to just kind of, it's great for persuasion to land more customers, to make your website sell 2 or 3 times more people than you're currently selling. But really in this hiring conversation, it's just great to let the public know, including people you're hiring, that you're just a thoughtful, caring company.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
flexible schedules is another one that's come up lately. I know some guys have sort of employees that work 4 days a week and they kind of overlap them. So they cover 6 days of schedule, Monday to Saturday, but any one employee only works 4 days and then there's sort of like overlap. There's things like that you can offer, like allow for flexible scheduling. We know we're in an industry where the bell doesn't ring at 4:30 and the truck just magically shows up at the shop and they hop in their car and drive home like a factory job or a mall job or things like that. You could be running late because Mrs. Jones added a couch. The second customer is a little bit late to the job. And then the third one turned out bigger than you thought it was going to be. And next thing you know, it's 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you still got the area rug to pick up before driving back to the shop. Technicians know that, but there is that work-life balance has to also be considered. So what is the consideration of the company? And one of them is, yeah, that might happen, but that's only 4 days and you get a 3-day weekend or every week or whatever. You either get Monday or Friday off and or whatever, that kind of overlap or something. So there's ways of that to consider as well for that work-life balance that seems to be more of a buzzword nowadays than when we were younger. And it's like, hey, you gave me overtime, great. Hey, you want me to come in on Saturday, great. Nowadays there really does seem to be that a much deeper focus on work-life balance. I'm not against it. I'm just old school where you work yourself to the bone until you get to the age where you don't have to work, like you can start backing off because you put your dues in. But nowadays, it is a different culture as well that,
It is. And when those things do happen where they do work later because of the extra couch or the customer's late or whatever,
mm,
do the business owners listening to this, do they thank their employees? Do they really show appreciation? I mean, it it's all about relationships. It doesn't work just between the technician and the customer. It works with the managers or business owners and the techs. So value your employees and take care of them and show your appreciation to them in whatever fashion that might be, whether it's a gift here and there or just
yeah.
a few honest words of commendation. Because if they're working late, they might grumble a bit when they're doing that, but when at the end of the day, when they're appreciated, that has to go a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah, again, little things that we always do. And again, there's millions of ways to deal with it. We called it like sort of perks beyond pay, but it was you
I like
know,
that.
yeah, go get a pizza. Like if it's sort of like a job and then you got a bit of downtime and then you got to go do a commercial job from 5:30 till 8 or 9 o'clock at night that night because it was booked in. Yeah, we're buying the pizza. Like or whatever it is, or and that kind of thing. So we'd either give them a gift card they could use at certain places or bring the receipt back and it's covered for sure. And again, if it was one of those unexpected late days, it's, you're on the phone with them. Thanks about, I even felt guilty going home. There's a lot of times that if they were late, I'd stay at the office so that when they came back, no, I'll unload the truck. You go. Right. I might even have popped home, got dinner, kissed the kids goodnight and come back to the office to do that. But just not taking advantage of the employees does definitely make them, even if they're grumbling the whole way, they go, oh, thanks, boss. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll just head right home or
And
whatever.
see, that adds to company culture.
Yeah.
That's not just a moment of time. That's not something that's benefits that day. That has a long life to it. So
Yeah.
when you do that as a boss, John, maybe I'll come work for you one day.
There you go. So, and then just kind of put a bow on this little bit of attracting and hiring the best people. Yeah, that career path you talked about, like, employees should be going through IICRC training. Know that there is a sort of a road through a training because, some people go, well, is that really necessary to have badges and certificates and stuff like that? It's just cleaning, but there's a reason why you get your what was it, ISO 9000, as a factory line employee. The whole company got it, but individual employees had to go through the tests and stuff like that, and you got kind of a little badge. Hey, you understand SPF controls and things like that. You learn stuff, you understand more, but you also can see a path. And then again, if you do move states, if it's like, there's a point at which, your wife wants to move closer to her family and it's 4 states over or whatever, you've got something there that you call up, 10 or 15 carpet cleaning places in Atlanta. There's going to be one go, oh, you're IIC certified and you've got 5 years experience and you've already got your flood tech degree and blah, blah. Yeah, by all means. So you want to start at $25 an hour? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you've got something that you don't have to prove. You've got the paper and so the company should be putting you through those kinds of things for their own benefit. And even customer service training certificates. Like, think of every other industry. I was just went out to a hockey game with my my insurance guy, and we're just chatting away. And the thing we're talking about is continuing education credits. He has to get 30 of them a year. How many industries do you have to constantly just go to these training courses? But I'm going, so what kind of courses do you go to? He goes, well, one's like ethics in business, and one is like, customer service 101 or, whatever. He goes, it's not all about, the insurance products I sell you. It's about just being, a good person in the industry because they want good people in the industry. So you have to go through these to get these credits. And it's like, that makes sense even to our carpet cleaning technicians. Why wouldn't they go through a community funded customer service training or something like that? And
Yeah, it's called education.
yeah, exactly. So, yep. So cool. And even getting testimonial videos from your current employees, not a bad idea. Like I know some companies that we've kind of gotten into doing really good videos about everything. The owner introduces the website, they talk, stuff like that. But then they get the employees when, hey, here's why I like working at this website. So, or sorry, this website. Oh, there's my other half of my brain at this company, and you post them on like on the website and stuff like that, which kind of gets into that tying it all together. In today's day and age, I firmly believe on the technical end of it, every business that's looking to grow and hire needs a landing page on their website with a video from the owner saying, hey, just grab your cell phone these days or a webcam. It's easy. Hey, just, read a teleprompter script if you have to, but hey, it's, Jim at Jim Bob's Cleaning here. And, we've been in the Fort Worth area for 27 years. My family started with my dad's business, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we're hiring right now, and we'd really like to see if you're a great candidate. And, fill out, here's what the job's all about. Here's some of the perks. Here's some of the things. You can check the rest of the page below. We've got some testimonials from our current and past technicians to see what the job's about. If it makes sense to you, click the big button and fill out a survey. And in today's day and age, you can have those surveys where you're asking very strategic questions on them. So you don't want to just, name, rank, and serial number, but you can actually seed in what your company's about in the survey by saying, we really take this as a serious focus. So explain to me. So now you're telling them what you think, like customer service, and so give me an example of a time that you've been able to do X, Y, and Z. So you can have a couple of those, more essay style or sentence or two questions, but you're also getting into their brain that you're different. If they opt out at that moment or answer a question, you can actually have automation bump them out and send them a, hey, thanks so much for applying. We'll take a closer look at it, but I'm not sure if you're quite the type of person we're looking for, versus another message. Hey, it looks like you're right in line with what we're looking for. What I'd like you to do now, if you could please, at part two, grab your phone and just record a quick little introduction of yourself, a little, history of your work history and what you enjoy, your sports, your things like that. And also tell us why you applied for this job. If you can just do that, send us the video up, right here. Give us a link to put it up on YouTube, wherever you want, private, and send us a link. But if you can just record, everybody in today's day and age knows how to record a video, a selfie video of something. So just record one quickly and submit that, and a couple of references. And we definitely love to have you in for an in-person interview or meet with you.
That video is a great way to vet people for sure.
Yeah. Now you find out if they're lovely, they answered everything well, and unfortunately, I'm sure there's a place for this, but their whole face is tattooed, might not be the ideal person to send to 69-year-old Mrs. Jones's house. You know what I mean? So we think like that. So cool. So we've kind of covered, where to source and a bunch of really good ideas, and thinking outside the box and always be hiring, how to attract the best technicians by really thinking about your company and all of those little nuances, and how you want to approach them and track them and tell them about your story. And now we're going to try and retain them. Right. So now I talked a little bit about making sure there's like a training program, employee development. But yeah, what other things could we think of that you know of in the industry, that and things that we've done here and know of, that would help retain somebody long term and not get that sort of 6-month, 9-month, 1 year itch? If they make it past 90 days, that's on us. A year later, they've got to want to stick around. It sucks to train a technician or two and then replace them every year. So
a couple of thoughts there. Company culture, we talked about that, but if it's a good culture and it feels good to be there, to work there, that's going to keep people longer than one that is not. So it has to be more than a job. They have to feel like they're part of the company. So maybe depending on the company, is there some type of ownership feeling that the technicians can have? Is there some type of bonus or commission that they can earn to where they're going above and beyond on their earnings? And it's not always about the money, but it is about the money too. It's funny how people say it's not about the money. Well, you have to have the money to make it work. And technology, what kind of technology is involved in the work to where these young people feel like they're making a difference? The generation that we're talking about, they're pretty much born into tech.
Yeah.
So the physical work of cleaning, all of that, if we could sell the technical part to where they're using technology, they're using AI perhaps, or if they're using equipment, so they feel like they're making a difference in their world of technology. Something we didn't talk about is like diversity and inclusion. You think of that more in the corporate world, but your younger generation, they care about that. They care about sustainability. They care about the earth. They care about recycling and all of these things. So if we can create a culture in a company to where we're doing all that, cleaning is what we do, restoring is what we do, but this machine we have in the company is, even though we do that, this is what we focus on as well. I think that's going to keep people. So once you have them, there's a reason why you chose those people. They're good people. They're good with your customers. Well, there's a bigger picture that's going to keep them longer. And we have to think about what that is. So all the things we think about, the ownership of the company, do they feel like they're just an employee, or do they feel like they're part of the team? That's going to help that company culture. Loyalty, the old days of where someone got a job out of high school and they stayed there till retirement. Those are gone,
Long gone. Yes,
long
yes.
gone. But do they have to be, or maybe there's an element of that that could be brought into it to where they stay longer than they might?
Mhm.
When an employee you have is good and they stay a few years and they leave, why not entice them back? Perhaps that, there's always that returning cycle that could be part of the
Yeah.
plan as well. So
No, those are all good things. Yeah, like
yeah,
employee recognition, if you've got more, like if you've got one or two technicians, right? So a small company, you're there with them every single day. I would still have I never did it on Monday, but Tuesday morning meeting. So, say everybody has to be at the office by 8 o'clock and the trucks drive out of the driveway at 8:30. Well, on Tuesdays, we didn't book the first job on site at 9. So you get up to half an hour to drive there. It was always 9:30 so that we could have an employee meeting to go through, you know, some training, some things that have come up, anything like that. We're doing some red spot remover stuff. Like it's just all that kind of refresher reminder, a little bit of sales coaching, things like that, whatever goes on in that 30 minute to 1 hour meeting. But you can also in those, we call them wows, but recognize when somebody did something above and beyond that they didn't have to do. And one of the ideas is like have a little wheel that they get to spin, and one of it's a day off or a day early, with full pay. Another one is like, yeah, like a gift card and things like that. And again, make it honest. Not everybody has to have one every week. It's like only if somebody actually went above and beyond their job role and did something else, right? They forgot to take Mrs. Smith's rug back on the first job of the day. At the end of the day, they came back to the shop, grabbed the rug, and drove it all the way back there before going home, right? Did they have to?
yeah,
No, honest mistake. But did they go out above and beyond? And should that be not just recognized as we talked about earlier, but actually even celebrated within the company? So things
yeah,
like yeah, like those kinds of things always help. One of the other ones, what I used to like to have is really open door policy, open communications. I wanted like, we're all good at just staying busy, staying busy, staying busy, and never really doing those performance reviews. And I never even like the performance review. If there's a problem, the technician already knew it. I cared more about more calling it a check-in, because it was like if more than 90 days had gone by and I haven't sort of one-on-one, hey, what's going on? How's home life? How's the job treating you? What do you like? What don't you like? What things do we need to fix? What's, in the job itself, but what are things that, are those little nagging things? You got a pump up sprayer that is pissing you off, like, things like that as well. Like just have that check-in meeting where it's just you and them, not the whole team bantering around as the trucks are being loaded in the morning or whatever, but just sort of, um, you can't do everything they suggest, but is there anything I can do to make the job a little bit easier? That's how we ended up having technicians carrying like these leather bag briefcases around, because we always had handouts for our clients and a package at the end of the job to, sort of lock in the sale and, all that, what other services we provide and a little, all that kind of stuff. But it was a handout and all this paperwork stuff on clipboards. And one of our technicians goes, you know what? Like I spill coffee on it sometimes. It's like, would it be so much easier if I just had a bag? I could show up to the door, have my clipboard and my measuring wheel thing in it, and then all the other stuff I needed just was sitting there inside the front door for the end of the job when I needed it all. And and it was like, yeah, that's brilliant. Let's get that for everybody. And I would never have thought of that, but it came out of a technician having one of these sort of like, what would help make your job easier? And that open communication builds a lot of two-way respect as well with the employer.
mhm. John, there's so many different kinds of companies out there too. You think about some of the things you said about spinning the wheel and getting a gift card or a day off, whatever. And I just think of the atmosphere of the workplace. And if you're working out of your home and your techs show up and they grab a key, that's one thing. It's kind of tough to have that office experience. But if you have an office
Yep.
and you have a break room, think about how the corporations out there, the successful ones, how they treat their people. I'm not saying spend a lot of money, but just to have a nice coffee maker and some soda and some snacks and
Yeah.
just make the place feel good.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to do that. Because I know what I used to say where I work when I go into the office, there's a nice break room, we have snacks, and there's always something good. It's just a good feeling. And it's a small thing, but it tells you that people care.
Yeah.
So for all those listening to your podcast today, if they're able to have something where it's a good experience to be at the office,
Mhm.
then I think that has to add a little bit to that company culture, that building of that will benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, and even if you're a guy that's running out of your garage and you got a couple technicians showing up or whatever,
Mhm.
and the office is the room in the basement in the back corner, um, have the dartboard in the garage. Have they can hang around after work and throw darts. Have the basket of apples and oranges and granola bars and all of that stuff. They can grab some stuff before you guys go out. Like
You're
make
way too healthy, John.
yeah, sorry. I do side with we never had chips and cookies and cakes and pies, unfortunately. But if we did, like we had the team building event, so we would take them out, and we would go do something. Sometimes it was charity work related, right? Flipping burgers, and we'd have a booth or whatever, and our guys would all be in uniform, and it's like, hey, who's showing up on Saturday for the charity burger flip or whatever, and things like that. When we did home shows, it was the team members that would we'd pay them to be standing there at the home show, but they had rotation shifts. So I didn't have to stand there from Friday evening till Sunday night and pack it up myself. I could take Saturday morning off and come back Saturday night and come back at the end of it to pack it up. But it was also the technicians and the office girl Cheryl at the time would be in front of the public and oh, you're the one I talked to on the phone, and it's like all of it, and they're getting paid for it, and they got perks, and they got hey, go get your pizzas, give me the receipt, all that kind of stuff. But also have the mini golf day and the with them and their family or their significant others or whatever as well, and just like those kinds of things. They're not expensive, but the value it brings to the culture, and then the video you take of all of that, like let's put the tech back into it. Definitely take the videos and put that up on your Facebook page, Employee Appreciation Day, and that kind of stuff. And it's not once every year; it's a couple times a year. You have your Christmas party at the local restaurant and rent the bigger room so their family, their kids and their spouses and all can come as well, and or girlfriends if they're young crowds and boyfriends and all that. Right? It's just
Yeah.
make sure it's that you're not just running the business day in and day out and expect them, they just have to show up. It's like, how do you make this a rewarding part of their life? And yeah, so now you've got them helping you find more people like we talked, and now it becomes a
Well,
circle.
it's a whole steamroll or
Yeah.
a snowball effect, because you think about what you just said. Now you have your technicians going to the job and the customer's asking, do you like what you do? And they start bragging about the company.
Yeah.
Who we like to do business with companies that are successful, that are fun
Yeah.
that are good to their employees. So this whole thing we're talking about is not just about hiring techs now. It's because you get the marketing residuals as well.
Yeah.
And it all comes full circle to a better company all around.
It does. Yeah. Customers love it better. I don't know how many times we've had um uh some of our clients call us up and say, "Hey, my grandson's looking for a job and I've used you guys for years and I think you're great." Like that has happened many
That's
a
a good
time.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that, we always put in our marketing material. And by the way, if you happen to know anybody looking for a job, send us our way. We would put that in some of our follow-up messages and thank you packages and things like that. Hope you're happy. Give us, some feedback and reviews and all that kind of stuff. Share us around with your friends. And by the way, we're always hiring, and we have a referral reward program, and we would mention that, right? So again, not all this stuff was like, hey, everything was so brilliantly put in place that 1995, when I started my carpet cleaning business, I had all of this figured out. But I'd say by about 2002, 2003, I went, crap, I need to figure all of this stuff out. And that's books and training courses and a lot of working on the business, not in the business, that gets you to think all of and how it ties together. It isn't isolated camps, as we just said. Your employees are your best marketing voice anyways, and marketing your employees helps them get more customers, and the whole thing does just tie together. So, and I think that's a great place to end this. I mean, we just kind of walked through what I wanted to cover was, the where to source, how to attract, and how to retain. And we kind of came full circle and tied it all together, and hopefully somebody's got some value out of this. If you did, definitely leave some comments on whatever podcast platform you're seeing this on, or if it's reposted on social media, let us know in the comments as well. If you found this valuable and helpful, even if you're a one-man show looking how to get the guy in the truck beside you, and what might need to be thought of there. But if you've got 10, 20 crews on the road, you've probably got some of these things in place. Did we give you another nugget or two that's like, holy crap, that's even better than what we're doing, or that's another thing to try. So hopefully got something out of it. Kind of makes sense to everybody listening why I wanted Jeff on the call today, because it's the perfect person to have this banter and conversation with, and I think we helped out. So thanks so much, Jeff. Any parting words for the crowd?
No, I appreciate the time here. Normally, I'm the one asking the questions and on my program. So, John, it's a pleasure to be part of your podcast program. I hope this was helpful to some of your viewers.
Yeah,
listeners.
I'm sure it was. Thanks so much,
Okay.
Jeff. Have a great day, everybody. Take care, and yeah, keep marketing your business.